Overcoming imposter syndrome. What does imposter syndrome even mean? By definition, a pervasive feeling of inadequacy and a fear of being exposed as a fraud despite your accomplishments. So here's some things. I'm also going to give you some examples on how to overcome imposter syndrome. Okay. So number one is you got to recognize and acknowledge the feelings, being aware of them when they arise. Think about these thoughts, these feelings, and if they're common, and remember that they don't define your true abilities or your worth. Now, mine was, I'm a single mom. I don't have a college degree. I'm not worthy, all these things. And all I had was just a passion and an obsession with health and fitness and mindset. And what eventually led to an obsession with empowering other women because I achieved those things and I wanted it for every woman that I met. And so when those feelings came up, I knew, yes, I feel these things. And also, I know that there's a better way. And I'm going to keep working on that. Even though I know I don't feel 100% about myself right now, I know that it's not determining my worth. I know I'm very worthy of these things and these feelings, these great feelings, but it's going to be a process in getting there. The second thing is I would reframe those negative thoughts. So you have to challenge those negative thoughts about yourself. Is this true? What makes that true? Question your thoughts. Dig deep. Okay. Then you need to replace the self-doubt with, again, what we talked about earlier, positive affirmations. Also focusing on the things that you have done, which I know for myself is one of the harder things for me to do, is to look back and really celebrate my achievements and the things that I've overcome and the things that I have achieved and that I'm looking to achieve. It's really hard for me. This is one spot that I'm working on in my life. And, you know, if you've overcome this, I would love for you to give me your tips. But I do know that when I have any of the negative thoughts, I know that those do not define who I am and the value that I can bring into someone's life. So I know that for certain. And also, when I'm having any kind of fear around celebrating my achievements, the go-to that I have right now is there's always room for improvement. There's always more. That's what feeds me forward. And I also need to take time to look back at my achievements, right? I've achieved a hell of a lot considering where I started from, at least to my standards. So taking time to celebrate that occasionally is very, very important. And to know that if you've done these things, you can certainly do more and reach for the stars. Now, the other step in overcoming your imposter syndrome is sharing how you're feeling, which can be a very big space of vulnerability. So a lot of times I will take these feelings to my business coaches, some of my trusted friends who I know that will be my hype women, right? And will also not just tell me what I want to hear, but tell me what I need to hear, which is super important. So sharing your experiences can help provide you some support, some reassurance, and it will also show you that some other people that you probably look to as really successful also have felt the same way at some point in their time. So think about that. For me, again, finding influential people with similar stories is super important. And also thinking to myself, if they can turn it around, so can I. And if they can achieve that thing, why can't I? Why does that make them any different? You know, at the end of the day, we all put our pants on. We all put our yoga pants on the same way, one leg at a time. So if she can do it, why can't I? So sharing your feelings, talking about it with friends, family, mentors, super key in knowing that you can overcome your imposter feelings, your feelings of imposter syndrome. One other key to overcoming this is understanding, where is this coming from for you? What are the root causes of your imposter syndrome, right? Often it can be related to a perfectionism. You got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. Oh my gosh, you guys, stop with that already. You know how many times I've done a thing without it being perfect and knowing 100% the outcome of everything? Like every decision I make, I'm like, well, well, we're going to rip the Band-Aid and see what happens. And guess what? It's all figure outable. So it could be that. It could be a fear of failure. It could be your expectations are way too high. And so therefore you just stay stuck, right? So knowing where that's coming from will let you address it more effectively. So I know one of mine that tends to come up or has before, it's not so much, it's more of a whisper now, is my imposter syndrome was rooted in the fact that like my parents were immigrants. My odds were stacked against me. No one's going to listen to me because I didn't have a perfect life. I didn't, don't have a master's degree or a PhD or, all these things. And if my business fails, that just confirms I'm not good enough. And that's just like, can we just LOL altogether? Like, that's just absolute bullshit, right? The story of who you were does not mean that that's how the story ends. And you don't have to carry that story with you, because if you do, it's like a roadblock into achieving what you want to have in your life. So remember that. Think about that. Just because that was you, or that is your story, or that is your history, or your parents' history, that does not need to make it true for you moving forward. You can rewrite your story and remember to build off of your past as your bedrock and your foundation for your strength, and not necessarily the mindset that you had back then, or in regards to that is not the mindset that you have to embody going forward. You can literally change your mind at any time. You can just decide today that that is no longer serving you, and you can just stop thinking that way. It's really that easy. And then once those thoughts creep back up, it's up to you to be mindful and aware that they're creeping up, and you just shove them right back where they were and replace those thoughts with positive affirmations and projecting forward into a life that you want to live.